Imagine a universe. Not our universe, a tiny universe. Except it's not so tiny because it keeps expanding and the plants keep growing and the animals keep roaming the fields and a billion suns keep supporting a billion solar systems. And it's yours. It's yours to explore, yours to breathe, and yours to thrive in. This is the scope of No Man's Sky, one of the most anticipated games of our generation. A gigantic space exploration game, No Man's Sky knows no boundaries, with the central onus of the game being placed on the fact that the size of the procedurally generated universe within the game almost matches our own known universe, with an apparent 18 quintillion planets to explore. However, with these sky-high promises and the spectacular scope of the finalised game, some players are worried that No Man's Sky won't live up to the hype surrounding its release. Today, we at The Checkpoint are here to explain why you shouldn't be worried about the release of this incredible game. Evolutionary biology, atmospheric equations, chemically engineered ecosystems. These are all grand phrases that have been used to describe the nature of No Man's Sky. The game has essentially made itself, with a computer generating plants, rocks, structures, and even life depending on the conditions of the location. How much moisture is in the air? How close is the planet in conjunction to others? How warm is the planet? Depending on these properties, certain objects and aesthetics within the planet will be affected. For example, animals may have longer necks depending on how high the trees are, or more fur depending on how cold the climate is. This is all well and good, but the problem is that it's finite. Sure, every creature is going to be a little bit different, but only a little bit. Maybe their legs are a little longer, but they still sound the same, drop the same loot, and once they start repeating themselves, that's when this discovery game becomes less about discovery and more about rediscovery. Furthermore, there's no real way to encounter other players. In a game so large with such a grand setting, developers Hello Games have already stated that meeting other people or interacting with other players will be rare. What remains to be seen is whether or not this will take away from the core game experience. Will the player be overcome by a sense of loneliness? Right now the game seems to be a single player game trapped in a multiplayer universe, and what's the point behind that? But the absolute biggest worry that's on everyone's mind, what do you do exactly? And I'm here to explain that you shouldn't care. No Man's Sky is an exploration game. Exploration, by definition, is discovering and journeying through an adventure by yourself and finding new things. Yes, there's an objective in this game, get to the centre of the universe by building up your ship with found materials and items, but that's not the point. The point is that you're exploring. There's a reason why Hello Games' Sean Murray, the lead designer behind the game, has not stated what's in the centre of the universe, because it's up to you to discover. There are 18 quintillion planets in this game, roughly, so why are gamers focusing on a singular event like the end game? Of course, there are small situations where the game makes another game out of itself. I mean, there are trading posts that turn the game into an RPG with a whole heap of statistics and items to buy and sell. Dogfights in space turn the game into a shooting game where if you make the wrong step then you could be blown into smithereens. But at the end of the day, it's a game about just hanging out in space. That's the only way you can describe it. I believe it was IGN, well, formerly IGN, and now currently Kinda Funny Games' Greg Miller, who stated that No Man's Sky is pretty much space, the game. It's about being in space. This game is about the journey, not the end result. Of course, I understand the tendency for completion, the urge to finish what you started, but sometimes games aren't about that. Sometimes they're about the now and not the later. No Man's Sky features some of the most beautiful visuals seen in recent years, with beautiful cel-shaded vibrancy bursting in and out as you zoom through the universe, and sometimes it's good to just stop and stare at it. Hello Games have developed their own periodic table, and to choose not to explore these layers of complexity is somewhat of a disservice to the developer. As I said, there are 18 quintillion planets in the game, which works out to around 585 billion years if you were to visit each one for a single second. So why not take the time to explore a few? No Man's Sky isn't a story. It's a canvas. Paint your own adventure, envision your own journey, and explore. Because at the end of the day, the sky's the limit.